Greetings, dear viewers. It is I, Drayhon. I do apologize for the late upload. I've been busy all day. Anyway, welcome back to Dungeons and Dragons character concept. I'm also being very quiet today, because I'm at home and everyone else is asleep, and I don't know how good these walls are at soundproofing. Anyways, today we are taking a look at the Lizardfolk, or Kekwala, as some are known as. If you are new to this series, in character concept we take a look at each of the different races within Dungeons and Dragons and try to pair them up with backgrounds and classes based on their lore. For the Lizardfolk, it's actually really interesting, though actually really simple as far as a basic Lizardfolk player character is. For backgrounds, Acolyte, we've got Tribe Member and Outlander will be the most common backgrounds for your Lizardfolk. For classes, it will be Druid, Fighter, and Rogue. Now, go ahead and get a deep dive into the Lizardfolk character and see what subclasses for each class that best fit the Lizardfolk will fit them even more so. Starting things off with an Artificer. Now, unfortunately, according to the Lizardfolk lore, intelligence is prohibited among the Lizardfolk community. In fact, they outright hate it. And it's because of the legend of one of their gods thinking too much. But an Artificer Lizardfolk would actually be a pretty interesting character. One, because of the fact that Lizardfolk already have the ability to craft their own weaponry, and two, part of the Lizardfolk lore is that there is a chosen one among the Lizardfolk that have higher intelligence. This is the sort of the avatar of their god. Now, Artificer specialists would probably be a battlesmith, artillerist, or an alchemist. This is to symbolize the shamans, which have slightly higher intelligence than some of the other Lizardfolk, but not to a higher degree than that. Moving on to Barbarian, probably one of the most common Lizardfolk. I would say Beast and even Zealot Barbarians would fit in well with the Lizardfolk. Moving on to Cleric, the main god of the Lizardfolk is a nature domain god. And I would recommend using that domain for your Lizardfolk. For Druids, this is once again referencing the Lizardfolk shaman. For circles of the land, most likely the forest and the swamp communities would have a more common Lizardfolk character following those circles. For Fighter, I would recommend Battle Master and Champion for most common type of Lizardfolk characters. If your Dungeon Master allows Unearthed Arcana, which is unofficial material unfortunately, I would also recommend the Brute, Scout, and Sharpshooter. Moving on to Ranger, the Beastmaster and the Hunter would be the most common, but I would also recommend a Drake Warden for a Lizardfolk character, just because it's actually rather interesting. And I'm a little bit biased about the Drake Warden class. It's really good. Moving on to Rogue, this will probably be the second most common class for your Lizardfolk characters. Assassin, Scout, and Thief being the best of the roguish archetypes. For Sorcerer, once again hinting at the Shaman, but also once again hinting at the chosen one of the Lizardfolk, sort of their messiah. This would be the Divine Soul Sorcerer. For your Shamans, I would recommend just using Wild Magic. But also, Lizardfolk have a tendency of serving dragons, so a draconic bloodline sorcerer does make some sense. And finally, we're going to do Warlock. This is referencing the Lizard King and Queen. When there is a Lizard King or Queen, that means there is a demonic influence on the Lizardfolk. So, obviously, a Fiend Patron would be the best fit for this Lizardfolk. Now, this was just a quick one, just to try to get a video out on time, even though technically I am late, so apologies again for that. But I do hope you enjoy nonetheless. And until next time, this has been Drehan, and I am offline.